move it. I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. You like to move it.
Welcome back to the Rolmecas podcast, I Like to Move It. Listeners, today we're talking all about glass recycling, a topic that's more important than ever as we all strive for a more sustainable future.
Recent data show significant global progress in glass recycling, but regional disparities persist. In Europe, for instance, glass recycling rates are among the highest, with many EU nations reporting rates above 70%. Germany leads with a recycling rate nearing 85%, while Italy has recently improved to approximately 80%, largely thanks to enhanced collection and sorting systems that maintain high material purity.
That's true, Alice, and today we'll find out much more about the topic, thanks to our guest. We've got a true expert, Francesco Onori. Francesco, could you tell our listeners a bit about yourself and the company you represent?
Thanks for having me. I'm one of the founders of Cavart, an engineering company specializing in industrial plants. We were founded in 2006, building on the experience of my design studio. We've always been focused on industrial engineering and industrial plants. Our projects range from glass recycling facilities to fertilizer plants, phosphoric acid production, various material handling, and grinding plants and solid raw material dosing, essentially everything mechanical within an industrial plant. We work with other specialists too, like chemists, to make sure everything runs smoothly. We have gained significant expertise. This experience has led us to be sought after internationally. We're currently working on a contract in Spain and have visited Colombia and Mexico, where we were approached by major international players eager to leverage our technological knowledge and expertise in these regions.
So you're the people who actually design and build the factories that make our modern world go round. That's pretty amazing.
We like to think so. In a nutshell, we're a factory that builds factories. We take a project from its initial concept, develop the entire industrial plant, commission it and get it up and running.
That's quite a comprehensive approach. And what about your role within Cavart, Francesco?
Well, these days I'm the chairman of the board, but I'm still very hands-on. Even though I'm officially retired, you could say I'm a retired person who never actually retired. I'm driven by my passion for this work and I love sharing my knowledge and experience with our team. After all, experience is a valuable asset, wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. And speaking of experience, I understand you also have a background in teaching.
Yes, teaching has been another one of my great passions. I was a full-time teacher right after graduating until the year 2000. As my work with Cavart expanded, I switched to part-time teaching, which I continued doing until the COVID-19 pandemic. So you could say I've only stopped teaching very recently, but I had to prioritize my work with Cavart, especially with all the exciting projects we have going on.
I can imagine. Now let's get into the heart of today's topic, glass recycling. Francesco, for those of us who don't know much about the process, could you walk us through how it all works?
Of course. We have specialized in designing and constructing glass recycling plants since around 2010. But my own involvement in this sector goes back even further, to about a decade before the company was even founded, when I worked as an engineer on designing components for these types of plants. It's an area that's both fascinating and constantly evolving. The entire process starts with the collection of glass from households, which is typically handled by municipal companies or contractors. Then this collected glass makes its way to recycling facilities through two main channels. One is through specific consortia. In Italy, for example, there is Corev, a consortium that collects glass in storage facilities and then auctions it off to glassworks or recyclers. The second channel involves direct agreements between municipalities and recycling facilities.
So once the glass reaches the recycling plant, what happens next?
That's where the real magic happens. The glass goes through a purification process. You see, even though people carefully separate their glass at home, the collected glass often arrives at the facility mixed with all sorts of contaminants. This is because different municipalities have different collection methods. Some might collect glass along with metals, while others might use the same trucks for general waste and glass without proper cleaning between uses. This leads to a mix of materials that need to be carefully separated and cleaned.
It's really interesting to hear about these behind-the-scenes challenges. I think a lot of people assume that once they put their glass in the recycling bin, it's all sorted.
So we often see glass that's been crushed, mixed with plastic, metal, and even things like ceramics. It's a real challenge to get it clean enough for reuse. The goal is to remove all impurities and contaminants until the glass is practically pure. To give you an idea of the level of purity we're talking about, the allowed ceramic content in a recycled glass is incredibly low, just 20 parts per million. That's like finding 20 grams of ceramic in an entire ton of glass. It's quite a feat to achieve that level of cleanliness.
So, are these processes and challenges common worldwide, or do you see variations in different countries?
It really varies depending on where you are in the world. Here in Italy, we're quite good at glass collection. We're up there with Germany and France, collecting almost 80% of our glass, but that's not the case everywhere. In some countries, there isn't the same level of awareness or infrastructure for proper collection and separation. For instance, in Spain, a lot of glass is still collected together with other waste. In the United States, the situation is quite different. They have vast landfills, and the cost of transporting glass over long distances often makes recycling economically unviable. Then you have countries where people collect bottles individually and turn them in for a small payment. This results in small quantities, but the glass is often very pure because it's been hand-selected.
So, it sounds like the quality of the recycled glass really depends on how it's collected in the first place.
Precisely. The way a country collects its glass has a direct impact on the design and complexity of the recycling plants. For example, in Germany, they initially designed their plants to handle pre-sorted glass, either clear or dark. But over time, they've realized that keeping glass separated is more difficult than they anticipated, so now they're dealing with mixed glass, which those plants weren't designed to handle.
So are Italian plants better equipped to handle mixed glass?
You could say that. We've had to become quite good at processing contaminated glass. In fact, during a recent glass shortage, Italian recyclers actually went to Germany to collect the waste from their plants, reprocessed it here, and turned it back into usable raw material. It goes to show that flexibility and adaptability are key in this industry.
That's quite a testament to Italian ingenuity.
It certainly is. Now, I'm curious about the regulatory landscape. Are there global standards for glass recycling, or does each country have its own set of rules?
In Europe, we have directives aiming to increase glass collection rates. The Close the Glass Loop initiative reported a glass collection rate of 75% in 2022, with the goal of reaching 90% by 2030. But outside of Europe, it's much more diverse. Each country tends to have its own approach and priorities when it comes to waste management and recycling. There is a growing global awareness of the importance of recycling, particularly the use of waste as secondary raw materials, but we're still at the early stages.
It sounds like a lot of innovation is still needed to improve glass recycling globally.
Absolutely, we need to find solutions that work in different contexts. For example, in Israel, they have a system where people get a small amount of money for each empty bottle they deposit in designated containers. This encourages people to recycle and results in cleaner glass. But in other places where collection is done through mixed bins, you need plants that can handle a much wider range of materials and contamination levels.
Francesco, what are some of the most interesting technologies being used to sort and clean glass? I've heard a lot about the use of artificial intelligence and automation in recycling.
You're right. Technology plays a crucial role in modern glass recycling. The heart of a recycling plant is the final purification stage, and this is where optical separators come in. These separators use various technologies to identify and remove contaminants. Some work by detecting differences in transparency. Glass is transparent while things like ceramic are opaque. Others use ultraviolet light or low-intensity X-rays to identify contaminants like lead crystal, which contains lead and is not allowed in recycled glass used for food containers.
So different contaminants require different detection methods.
Exactly, and for plastics we use near-infrared technology. Each material has its own unique signature that allows us to identify it. It's quite sophisticated. As for AI, it's still early days, but we're definitely seeing its potential. Our company has actually developed a machine that uses AI to analyze the final output of the recycling process. It can determine the levels of contamination in the glass before it's sent to the furnace. This innovation was successfully showcased a few weeks ago at the Ecomondo Fair in Rimini.
That sounds very promising. Do you think AI will eventually be used to sort glass in real time, rather than just analyzing the final product?
It's certainly a possibility, but it comes with challenges. AI requires a lot of computing power, and to make it work effectively for real-time sorting, we'd need to invest in high-capacity hardware. But it's definitely an area we're keeping a close eye on.
It's amazing to see how technology is constantly evolving to make recycling more efficient.
Absolutely. Now, Francesco, let's talk a bit about the practicalities of running a glass recycling plant. I imagine maintenance is a big issue, given the abrasive nature of glass.
You're absolutely right. Glass is incredibly abrasive, which puts a lot of stress on the machinery. Regular maintenance is essential to prevent breakdowns and keep things running smoothly.
So how often do you need to perform maintenance on a typical glass recycling plant?
Well, unlike a glass manufacturing plant, which operates 24/7, a recycling plant doesn't have to run constantly. So, stoppages aren't as critical, but we still need to be very proactive. Most plants dedicate at least one full shift per week to preventative maintenance, which mainly involves inspecting equipment to identify any signs of wear and tear. For example, steel chutes that come into contact with broken glass wear down incredibly quickly. An uncoated steel chute might only last a week, whereas a manganese steel chute could last a month. We use chrome carbide coated plates that can endure for 7 to 8 months. It's all about choosing the right materials and keeping a close eye on their condition.
It sounds like the future of glass recycling is very bright, but are there any challenges that worry you?
Of course, there are always challenges. One is the need for continuous improvement in the quality of recycled glass, as even small amounts of contamination can cause problems in the manufacturing of new glass products. Another challenge is ensuring the economic viability of glass recycling, especially in regions with high transportation costs or limited access to markets for recycled glass.
So collaboration across the industry is crucial?
Absolutely. We need to share knowledge, best practices and technologies to help countries at all stages of development improve their recycling systems.
So it's more about prevention than prediction at this point.
Exactly. We haven't fully embraced predictive maintenance yet in the glass recycling industry, but it's something that could become more common in the future.
That makes sense. And what about scalability? When you design a glass recycling plant, do you factor in future expansion?
It's definitely something we consider, but often the most cost-effective way to scale up is to simply increase the number of operating hours. Adding extra lines or significantly expanding the plant isn't always practical, both from a cost perspective and because making major modifications often requires shutting down operations, which can be disruptive.
I imagine that glass recycling plants need to operate fairly consistently, given that glass waste is generated every day.
That's right. We can't just stop collecting and processing glass because the waste keeps piling up. And contracts with municipalities often stipulate that we have to accept a certain volume of glass on a regular basis. So, any downtime for maintenance or modifications has to be carefully planned.
It sounds like a complex balancing act.
Looking to the future, what are some key priorities for the glass recycling industry to continue its progress and make glass a truly circular resource?
I believe that collaboration is key. Additionally, continued investment in research and development is crucial to advance recycling technologies, making them more efficient, cost-effective, and adaptable to different contexts.
So, to wrap up today's discussion, we've heard about the complex but promising future of glass recycling. Francesco highlighted both the advancements in glass collection and the challenges around contamination and infrastructure in different parts of the world. As he mentioned, technologies like optical sorting and AI-powered analyzers are shaping a new era in recycling, making it more efficient and adaptable to local needs. Yet, the road ahead still requires collaboration, innovation, and continuous investment to make glass truly circular. It's clear that with the right practices and shared commitment, the industry can continue to make significant progress. Thanks again to Francesco for his insights, and thanks to all of you for listening. Let's keep moving toward a more sustainable future, one recycled bottle at a time. Well, that's good to hear. Francesco, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your expertise. It's been a fascinating conversation.
It was my pleasure. I hope we've inspired our listeners to think more about glass recycling and its importance in building a more sustainable future.
And remember everyone, recycle your glass, It makes a difference.
Absolutely. Until next time, folks, stay curious, keep improving, and as always, thanks for listening. Take care and keep being awesome.
I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. You like to